Here we go. Being recorded. We're live on Facebook. We got everything covered. Hello, Gabe, Amanda, and Tom.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Everybody have a good weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice
Good
weekend.
It does seem
Nice.
like it's summer and it's Monday, but it just seems like it's just another day.
I can't believe we're already mid-July.
I know.
Past mid-July.
Past mid-July. And like last year, like I know I've said this before on here, but last year seemed like it was the slowest year in the face of the planet. And this year seems to just be like flying by. I mean, remember last year we were saying July is the new October, like get your book orders.
That's right.
Now.
Right.
No books are going to be around in December. It's like, I think we're all fine this year. Although we were just talking earlier, I don't know what's releasing. Tom, I'd be curious what you've got to talk about today, because I was just like, I can't think of anything new. So I'm going to do some old stuff.
And I was the opposite. I was like, too much stuff. What do I do today? And then I'll do some stuff to roll over to the next time. But
you know what's coming out, and I'm mad I didn't get a copy. I know we're live here too. So it's Hermione Hobby has a new book from Riverhead. How did I not get that? Wait, if
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it too right away.
Oh, see, that's out tomorrow. I loved her book Neon and Daylight.
I'm leaving right now. I'm gonna go to the post office.
Thank you. Bye, Tom. I will take you leaving to go mail that to me.
I'm doing it.
When I saw the thing on that, I was like, how did I not?
It's our first time publishing her, so I don't know who loves her, but now I know.
Her. Yes, I love her. Yeah, she was a Catapult. So speaking of our favorite,
that's right.
Our favorite little indie press, Catapult. She was a Catapult author before. All right, let's get to Rex. Good stuff. Like I said, I got some old stuff to talk about. Amanda, we're going to start with you. So it's going to go Amanda, Gabe, and Tom, and then I'll wrap it up each time. So off you go, Amanda.
Okay.
Because Gabe doesn't like to go first. I remember that from last week, Gabe. I'll give you a break.
I need a warm-up act, you know?
I need a warm-up act. Somebody to follow.
Okay. Been waiting to talk about this one for a while. This is
so good.
Night Bitch.
It's so good. Is that out tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
From Rachel Yoder. And wow. So the story is the main character, she is an artist who becomes a stay-at-home mom when she has her baby and starts becoming aware of changes in her body and becomes convinced that she's turning into a dog. So it's got some shades of Kafka, but for the modern woman. It's a very strange, very visceral, and very thought-provoking book. I think it would be a really good choice for book clubs, something a little unusual. If you read A Certain Hunger by Chelsea Summers, that was one that Andrea mentioned some months back. I think you might like Night Bitch. There is a great quote from Kevin Wilson, who wrote Nothing to See Here, which is a big Warwick's book. He says, I could not love a novel more than Rachel Yoder's Night Bitch. It's such a uniquely brilliant book, one that looks at the intersection of motherhood and art, the terror of 1,000 artless afternoons. It's so wonderfully observant, so precise, and yet manages to expand and expand upon those initial concerns, turning magical, dark, and funny. It is very funny. So that's Night Bitch from Rachel Yoder, out tomorrow.
Okay, here's the funny story of that one. So you know how we get galleys sent to us, right? Just like it's some that we know are coming, but some are just sent, unsolicited. This one was obviously unsolicited. I was like, somebody sending me a message with this one? It's like the title is,
they remain nameless. You're not going to
we won't name names, but it is from a publisher that I like a lot. And I was like, okay, this was set on purpose. But what I loved about it was just, it's really unlike anything you're ever going to read. And it takes the early motherhood to a whole new level. It is absolutely, it's a mind bending book. I think. I thought it was really well done, but it's definitely different. So, all right, Gabe, what do you got?
Unmute, share screen. I'm going to start with a young adult novel, Gods and Monsters by Shelby Maherin. This is the final in the trilogy. We really started really hot with the first book, Serpent and Dove, which starts off the series, and our protagonist, Lou, who has left her coven and moved into the mainstream to live a mainstream life, and then falls in love with a church hunter of witches. Forbidden love, baby. That's what we got here. And we move along. She moves from that chapter. Book 2, Blood and Honey, brings the adventure further along as she works to save those that she loves. And now we have the breathtaking finale of the trilogy. And we got a great quote. I could go on and on, but we have a really great quote from Jodi Picoult on here, who you wouldn't think is the reader, but this young adult, big high fantasy stuff, it's got a really wide readership, really broad readership. So I'm not surprised at all. Nice, big, fat, satisfying read that you knock off in a couple hours. So we've done really well with the first 2 books. Serpent and the Dove jumped right to the top of the bestseller list. Followed second book, also Blood and Honey, also jumped to the top of the bestseller list. So we got a proven track record. We got a killer. These jackets on some of these books are really amazing. I'm not the audience for a lot of these things, but man, you just look at the packages and you're like, wow, they're very cool. So we know what we're doing with these. There's a nice stack at Warwick's because the book series has worked really well there. So I know that we got a nice stack awaiting and on anybody. So nice little gift to get to your young adult, or treat yourself to a fantasy read. The first 2 are available in paperback.
Yeah, I think does Gerard read those? I think maybe, I don't know, but
he reads so broadly, it's crazy.
He reads so broadly, but yeah, but you're right. The packaging of that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
so I'm a sucker for a good cover. All right, Tom, what do you got for us?
All right. Well, before I give my pick, I wanted to mention that Paper Palace, which I talked about a couple of weeks ago, and Julie, you and I have been talking about it in between, has become a runaway bestseller. So, and Warwick so far, right at this moment, leads my territory in sales. So it's definitely going to be a Warwick's bestseller. So if you haven't picked up Paper Palace, go ahead and do it. It's one of the big books of the summer.
Everybody that I've talked to, like all of my compatriots that are like across the country, everything, because we've all been like chatting about it the whole bit. The only thing that we always are saying to each other is the ending. The ending.
Yes.
It's the best ending. It's just right.
Right. Okay, but I digress. So now this is a very not smooth transition. So the book that I have is out tomorrow. It is one of the biggest selling. It will be most likely one of the biggest selling books of the year. So a couple of years ago, Phil Rucker and Carol Leonig published a book. We published a book. Penguin Press published it. A Very Stable Genius. This came at a time, I think the beginning of 2019, when many people had already had their fill of Donald Trump. And yet, because of these 2 reporters, they're both for the Washington Post, that book, A Very Stable Genius, was a huge bestseller. Took us all by surprise because there'd been so many Trump books, but that was the book. So they're back at it. And the book has perfect companion to Very Stable Genius. This is called I Alone Can Fix It, Donald Trump's Catastrophic Final Year. So there's a lot of Trump. This is the moment. It's one of those moments where there's a lot of Trump books crowding the shelves and the media. But I have to think that this book will dominate because of you can rely on their reporting. Basically, they're great writers, great reporters, and Trump continues to make news. Now, basically, all I need to tell you is you're going to see a lot of these 2 all over the media. NPR Tonight, the Today Show this morning, and then tomorrow the on sale date, all over everywhere. You will not be able to turn on television or radio or podcast without hearing about I Alone Can Fix It. And I find myself both repelled by the excerpts and eating them up. Like, because there's one today in there's been the Washington Post. Today there was one in Vanity Fair where they actually went to Mar-a-Lago to interview Trump. He gave them a few hours, more hours than were expected. What can I say? Headline making news over and over again. So it's one, I haven't read the entire book because we've literally kept it embargoed and secret until tomorrow morning. So I haven't had access to anything in advance, but the track record speaks for itself. So I Alone Can Fix It, Donald Trump's catastrophic final year. So it's everything that happened after A Very Stable Genius, which was kind of a lot.
Yeah, I can't wait to see all the reports on it. That's going to be super interesting to see what's coming. Holy moly. Oh, are we done? Anyways, I digress. Okay. I didn't really know, like I said, if I would have known that Hermione Hobby had a new book out tomorrow, I might have talked about it. Gabe and I were talking about this the other day, Tom. There's no real place to go to easily see what new releases are tomorrow. I mean, and I'm not at the store. I used to be able to walk in the back, but I'm not at the store to see what's on the release shelf. So anyways, so I'm going to talk about older books, some of my old favorites, and because they're summertime and it's just time for like good, easy read sometimes, except for maybe not yours, Tom, but but I'm going to talk about Garden Spells. This is an old oldie, but it's so good. And it's got magical realism in it. It's set in the South. It's about a family called the Waverleys, and they have this magic tree in the back of their house. And it's about requited love and just all the good stuff that you want in a summer read. I'm gonna blow talking about it. I literally read this thing, I don't know, when did it come out? It shows you if I see when it came out, you'll know, like, my brain. 2007. So I don't have a brain that can think 14 years ago. So,
none of us do.
No. So
well, maybe Amanda.
Amanda probably does, but the specifics of it, what I can't tell you that is I still remember the feeling I had when I read it. And it just was one of those feel good, but really well done stories. So if you're in the mood for, it's a quick read, but it's just a really good story. Garden Spells. And this is not my typical dark. Like, I usually like dark stuff. This one is just a light, good, but really well done. So Garden Spells.
I see it's the first in a series, Julie.
Well, I didn't read the series.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I didn't.
Let's start with the first one.
I didn't realize. Yeah,
I didn't either. So that's the only one I've read, and it didn't. The way it ended, it's a satisfying ending. So I think the series might just go back and visit different characters. So I'm not sure that it's like a continuing story, because it definitely at the time was where you felt it was complete. So
you were a lot younger then.
I was, and not as many grays that I had to cover. Just less sophisticated.
You come a long way, Jewel.
Come a long way, baby.
Go.
All right, Amanda, save me. Save me.
Okay, this is a sweet little book. This is The Council of Animals.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And it's by Nick McDonald, who I don't know from anything else, but I want to know because this is such a sweet book. So the story is, it's set in a potentially not so distant future after some catastrophe involving a virus of some sort. And this happening was called the Calamity. And this is told by animals, this story. The animals thought all the humans had managed to finally do themselves in. But it turns out there are a few humans left. And they're gathered together. Yep. And so the animals, the story starts, a cat, a dog, a crow, a baboon, a horse, and a bear get together. And they are here to decide humanity's fate. They want to decide, do we leave the humans be, or do we eat them so they don't keep causing all these problems? It has really beautiful illustrations. It's a quick read, but I keep thinking about it. It's one of those books that
It's
stays with me.
it's deeper than it first appears.
Yeah, I mean, I think that actually, like kids that read Animal Farm, this would pair well with that. Helen Oyeyemi, author of Gingerbread and Pieces, says this tale's ratio of wit to wildness is positively golden. Its subtle logic and frank and tender mischief have somehow left me with the feeling of having witnessed a wake and a christening combined. And I'm so very glad I attended. I thought that was a good blurb. So that's The Council of Animals. It's out tomorrow.
That looks really good. Is that one of your books, Gabe?
No, it's not. Deborah brought it home the other day. It
Oh.
looks great. It's got a great package. It's like you just want to open it up.
Yeah. Yeah, that one looks really good. All right, Gabe, what do you got?
I got more good stuff.
What you got?
Because we're HarperCollins, baby. That's just what we do.
It's what we are.
So one of my favorite, late favorites, kid authors, middle grade fiction, 8 to 12 is what we say for middle grade fiction. Good 7-year-old will read this and love it. And I think an older kid can age down into it because they're just a lot of fun. His first book was The Voyage of the Dogs, which is dogs in space. Now, one of my things is I was going to talk about the previous book is somebody asked me about a book one time and they were that we've sold a zillion copies of, and they asked me if I'd read it, and I was like, once the goat started talking, I'm out. But the anthropomorphizing of animals, just I can't go there for some reason. I have a really hard time. It's happened with a few things, but mostly I can't. But his Voyage of the Dogs, the voices are so perfect, and the situations are so perfect, and he's like Kevin Henkes to me, and John David Anderson, one of these people who's like in the kids' heads. He thinks like a kid does. There's a lot of you've seen a lot of adult authors try to do kids' books, and it's a gift. You really have to, feel what kids feel at some level. And I think Greg Van Eekhout just does that so well. In The Weird Kid, we have Fish Out of Water. We have the young Jake, who is our hero, the weird kid, living with a big secret that he can't tell anybody because he essentially, like Superman, was found in a slimy, goopy mass by his parents and taken in. So he's been living a normal human life for a lot of years. And then one day, things start changing. And then one day these weird occurrences start happening in town, and they're all very odd. And at the bottom of every holes and things that pop up is this slime that wrapped him up as he came when he came to Earth. So there's this little mystery. There's a little bit of ET in here. I think the jacket. Look at that jacket. That kind of takes you away, and that's kind of what it does. It's like, the thing I like about Greg is honestly, it's kind of stuff I would have read when I was a kid. Now, when I was a kid, there was no crisis fiction. I read about Freddie the pig. That was one animal that I allowed into my life to talk. Danny Dunn, Alvin Fernald, the Hardy Boys. I just read fun, escapist. That's what was there, And there were some really books that were just stuck with me forever. That's what I think Greg Van Eekhout brings. He brings these books that are going to stick with you. You're going to be 50 years old, and you're going to be thinking about some of these books that formed you as a little kid. And I think that's the power that Greg has. So I'm really excited to have the third book, The Cog, which was the book in the middle, is about a robot who doesn't want to be human, but is very cognizant. So it's a really fun guy. Greg is, he's been writing science fiction, adult science fiction for years. And I think what he was born to write. He's really good.
He's a local guy too.
He's a Southern California local.
He's dropped into Warwick's a few times. Really sweet guy.
Really sweet guy.
Yeah.
Have we ever had him for the Festival of Books? Did they ever do him?
I don't think so.
They should.
I don't know. I hope so.
I know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I wonder
He's
if that
a-
children's programming set.
He's a good friend of Mysterious Galaxy, so maybe they
Maybe put him
in.
up, yeah, because that sounds like something that he should be involved in if he's local
Yeah.
here. All right, Tom, what do you got for us?
Okay, something very different. So Katie Kitamura, Riverhead started publishing her with the last book, which was The Separation. And she's really one of our very best writers. So her new book out tomorrow is called Intimacies. And it's set, what I love about it is the book is a slow burn itself. The reading experience is a slow burn. And I feel like the lead up to the publication has also been a slow burn, but it's on fire now because interviews are running, reviews are running, and it's going to be one of the buzziest books, literary event novels of the summer. So the main character is an interpreter in The Hague. She's there to escape New York, get away from memories there and what's happened to her there. And so she's in The Hague and she's an interpreter. It's I never would have thought like the life of an interpreter at The Hague, where you are interpreting for, speaking into the ear of war criminals, of leaders who have done the most heinous things. So you're up close and personal. I mean, she's distant, she's up in the balcony, but she's intimate in a way with the most evil people in the world. So there's that. And she's in this brand new place to her, at least she feels like it's brand new. And there's a lover who kind of ghosts her. Her best friend witnesses an act of violence. And so that kind of haunts her too. So there's this it's a very cool surface, but beneath that surface, there's all this roiling and kind of violence that is in our world. But, on the surface, it seems like she's very placid. And so by the end, she's pushed to a breaking point in a way. So it's a novel that casts a spell over the course of the whole book. She said in an interview with the New York Times last week, it's the closest expression to what it feels like at this moment, as I'm trying to navigate everything that's happening around us. So she's kind of capturing this feeling of, we're confronted with the most horrifying things in our world of various sorts, and yet we go on with our lives, doing regular things. So it's really interesting, very great. It's going to be great for book groups. Dwight Garner in the New York Times reviewed it, I think, today, and he calls it one of the best novels of 2021. And he ends his review by saying, with Intimacies, Kitamura has delivered a taut, moody novel that moves purposefully between worlds. So I think this is a book, Intimacies, a novel. This is a book that's going to be, around throughout the rest of the year, showing up on those 10 best lists as we close out the year. So definitely one to know about now. It's really good.
Is that Riverhead too?
That's Riverhead. Yeah.
Yeah, they got a knack for good books, don't they?
They do.
They kind of have a good eye there. I can look forward to that one too, along with Hermione.
Yes, exactly.
Yikes.
Coming your way soon, Julie.
Coming to
So dark. You like dark.
I like dark. I'm into the dark, which now I'm going to talk to you about my next pick, which is a backlist, which is an older book too. And Gabe, I think you know this one, Of Things Gone Astray. I loved this book when it came out. And it's a little book, but it's a little, it's very philosophical. And it seems like it would be this, easy read. And it is an easy read, but she tackles these, and the stories, I don't even remember how many stories there are, but they're all interwoven, and they kind of all come together a little bit. But like, for example, the first story, if I'm remembering correctly, it's basically the premise of it is what you fear and how it would manifest itself. So this woman, or what you covet, no, it's not what you fear, it's what you covet. So this woman covets her privacy in the first story, but she wakes up one morning. So there's a little bit of fantastical element to this too, but she wakes up one morning and the front of her house is gone. So everybody can see into her house. And so, there's a story of a dad and a son, and they can't see each other because they kind of are losing each other, but they're in the same. It's fantastic. It's really one of these little books that we did it for our book club a few years ago, and we had one of the best discussions because it just makes you look at things in such a different way. I love that book. Does she have anything else coming out, Gabe? You're on mute.
No, I wish we did. I wish we had another book, but this is really one of those books that I think comes along and the inspiration strikes, and it's probably quite unlike anything that Janina Matthews will ever write again.
Right.
It is. I really loved what, there were people experiencing losses and how the losses manifested themselves in their lives. And then there's, like you say, that one, the front of the house disappears, and then the father and son who are communicating and they're like disappearing to each other, and the man who can't find his work.
Yeah, the directions. That's right. Like his work has disappeared. Yeah, it's so good.
It's so well done. And then at the end, everybody does come together, and you see that they've all are experiencing. And then the final chapter with the woman at the airport waiting for her girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
Which is so like not real, but it's such a great metaphor.
Oh,
getting anchored in there, which the cover.
She roots herself in the airport. Yeah.
It's such a good. It's such a good, satisfying novel.
Yeah.
And it does. You're just you're looking at these. You're trying to piece it together, and it just puts, as you read it, pieces itself together. And
yeah, it's brilliant, and it's a little book. It's like 200 pages, maybe a little more, but yeah, maybe a little more, 250.
Yeah, it's a real quick.
It's quick, but man, it makes you think, and it just is. It was so well done. I love that book. So
that sounds incredible.
Like she does have something new coming out. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, you should be able to. Yep.
This one here, it's a collaboration.
She's doing that with her husband, Jeffrey Craner, who's one of the Night Vale guys. We're publishing that one.
Oh,
that's a memoir. Oh, that's a novel.
A fictional memoir?
Yeah, it's kind of a fictional autobiography. But
looks very intriguing.
Yeah, the Night Vale guys. The Night Vale guys are good.
Yeah, combined, I think, two really imaginative people. I didn't know they were married. I was like, Jeffrey's married to Janina. That's really cool.
They must have some interesting conversations.
Yeah.
Not talking baseball with my husband. Never mind. I digress. Okay, Amanda, go. Are we onto our lightning round?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So,
oh my
Dear
God.
Miss Metropolitan. You read it?
I'm quoted in there, lady. Look for my quote.
What?
Keep up, Amanda.
How did you miss that?
Oh my God! She's the first blurb. Look at this, people.
I'm sure it's all in caps and stuff.
In caps.
Completely missed it. Okay, so we are hosting Carolyn Farrell tomorrow. This book is brilliant.
Isn't it good?
It's oh man, it's hard to know how to talk about it. So at its core, it does tell a terrible story that is based on truth of 3 young women who are kidnapped and held in this decaying house for 10 years and just, you
remember that story in the news? I think it was like Ohio or something where that
Cleveland. Yep.
Yeah. So the Cleveland thing. So that's kind of the premise of the story.
Yeah. Hold a few hostages. They call you a creep. Judgy.
What?
Gabe showing his true colors right now.
Yay!
He muted himself.
He muted himself right away.
So along those lines, I mean, this book, it's sort of experimental in the way it's written, but it's also such a page turner, and it's so beautifully written, and it's this horrible thing that happens, but it also investigates trauma of all kinds, including the traumas that their captor has perhaps undergone. And also the way society views trauma, because it's framed by this reporter who does this column called Dear Miss Metropolitan. So it's like, this should have win so many awards. It's just amazing. And I'm really excited to hear from her tomorrow. She'll be in conversation with Karen E. Bender. So
at 4 o'clock here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds really good.
It's so good. And I mean,
so she gets into the mind of the the kidnapper as well, and exposes all his, that whole trauma thing trips me out. They say it's like transfers generationally.
Generational, right?
Yeah. And she did just an amazing job. Amanda, that was one of the reasons that I even booked that event, because I had read it. I was just like, oh, this is so good.
I had no idea.
I'm covered in the flap. I'm covered in the flap. So there you go.
Wow.
That's
Gotta
right.
be on the right side, Jules. Next time,
gotta
say,
get
put
on
me
the right. Got to get on the right. And behind the flap is not any good. Hey,
Forget above the fold. It's,
yeah, I'm behind the
Right.
flap.
Behind the You're Judy Slavinsky, man.
Such a fancy galley too to have a flap.
I know. It's really
such a
good.
beaut, the artwork. And there's also photography by
publisher?
the author.
It's
This is
Henry Holt. Henry Holt.
Mhm.
Macmillan.
All right. Yeah. There again. Where's Mike Slack?
I know that this one is also Henry Holt.
Yeah. And the last
I
one I'm
just-
going to talk about is
It
Mike
happened
Slack, too.
accidentally.
I know. Mike, if you're watching, what's up, dude?
Where are you?
Where are you?
We love you, Mike. We'd love to see you.
I know. All right, Gabe. What do you got to close out?
I'm gonna rock us home with the Island Queen.
Ooh.
That is not a Billy Ocean song, by the way. That's Caribbean Queen.
Caribbean Queen.
So, and then also nobody's even noticed. I got colors, type, and stuff on my shares. It's like
You're all over it. I'm
matchy,
telling you.
matchy. But all to give everyone a
Matchy.
better experience when you look at Harper. So this book released a couple of weeks ago, and I've been so fat with good books the last month that I'm just squeezing it in here. But it really deserves the, follow up and anchor this presentation for me. Killer Package. Vanessa Riley brings us a really, involved, in-depth historical novel. It's based on the life of Dorothy Kerwin Thomas, who was born a slave, and out of just sheer, as we say in Spanish, ganas, guts, strength of will, she ends up buying her freedom, ends up buying her mother's freedom, ends up buying her sister's freedom, creates essentially this business empire on a tiny Caribbean island, Montserrat, and just rises above everything and everybody, consorts with the Europeans that come along. She travels. She becomes quite the persona of her world and the old world as well. So really interesting character. It's obviously a fictionalized account, so there'll be some stretches, but just again, really interesting, really immersive kind of a read. I think historical fiction is always one of the more popular, mysteries, historical mysteries, even better, are always, they just have big readerships. It's a really, good book for conversation in a book club. It's a good book to share with somebody. It's a really page-turning summer read. You take this on a plane, take this to the beach with you, you'll knock it off. Got a wonderful package, got some really great blurbs all over the place. So we're excited. I think we did a nice job publishing this. We have a really fun and interesting book, but that fun and immersive takes you away. I think that's what books are supposed to do. And I think Vanessa did a really terrific
Another, like
job.
you said, another great package. I love that cover.
It's Killer Package.
Yeah, another really good, very compelling cover on that one too. Okay, Tom, what do you end up with?
Well, first I want to say it's not a Billy Ocean song. It's not an Elton John song. Remember Island Girl?
Girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes you back, right, to the late 70s.
Now we're showing
Oscar
how
dances.
old we are.
So this is a perfect, lightning round pick. Subpar Parks out. It's been out for a week or so. So this started as an Instagram account, super successful Instagram account. These are people. It's by a woman who travels the country to national parks. She loves the national parks. Let me clear that up right from the get-go. But in the world we live in, even the national parks get 1-star reviews. And so she set up this Instagram account, chronicling and with these reviews. So here's Death Valley National Park. Ugliest place I've ever seen. A real review. Here's the Muir Woods. Just looks like your standard forest.
So these are these her reviews, or these?
No. These are people who actually went to these places, took the time to travel to these treasures, and left bad reviews. You can open it at any page. North Cascades National Park in Washington. Too many mountains, trees, snow, etc.
I think I need to get that for my daughter.
It's really hilarious. And in this summer, when the national parks are overflowing with travelers, it's a great kind of gift book. Give it to someone who's about to take that trip. It's really, really fun. And I saw I think it was in the newsletter, maybe the Warwick's newsletter this past week, a book from a bookseller maybe. So the subtitle is America's Most Extraordinary National Parks and Their Least Impressed Visitors. So really fun. And it's at its heart, it's a celebration of the national parks, but through these hideous 1-star hilarious reviews.
I love that. That's a great concept for a book, because it's just like, because like
It
you said,
is.
it just like, it highlights them, but brings it down to the reality too.
Right. And it's a really fun little paperboard hardcover. It's a great package.
Love that. All right, let's see if I've got the right thing to share here. So I'm going to close out with, I'm going to talk a little bit, Tom, about if you've already read Paper Palace and you've blown through it and you're looking for another saga,
hope you have. Yes.
And you're looking for another good saga, I'm going to go back to The Guest Book by Sarah Blake. This was one of my favorite books when it came out. I mean, this is a good, meaty, it's kind of like the Paper Palace is. It's a good, meaty read. This one deals with more, it's at the turn of the century. So it's a wealthy family, but it deals with class and politics, and they go to a family. So it kind of has the same thing. They go to an island that they have a house on, and it takes place, I guess it's in Maine or something. But anyways, if you haven't read, Sarah Blake wrote The Postmistress. So I don't know if everybody remembers that one.
I remember that. We published that. It was really good, really good. I think that was her debut.
I think it was too. Yeah, and this is, I think, her second one. I think, or maybe she had some in between. But anyways, this is really good. Great characters. It's a little trigger warning. Speaking of everything's, I've got trigger warnings now. There is like, and even the Paper Palace, like Reese Witherspoon put out a trigger warning on the Paper Palace. But anyways, it's you gotta. I don't need any trigger warnings.
You're waiting for the.
I'm waiting for it.
There's going to be some.
What's going to be? Anyways, something horrific happens, which kind of sends this woman into, But that's a really good one. So I'll close out with, as Amanda talked about, Carolyn Farrell will be with us tomorrow. If you're a Brad Thor or a Karen Slaughter fan, they've got events tomorrow as well. Brandon Webb and David Mann with Steel Fear will be here on Wednesday. Becoming Heroines with Elizabeth McLaughlin will be here on Thursday. And Francesca Saratella, Ghosts of Harvard, will be here on Thursday as well. So we've got another good week of events for everybody.
Great week.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. Still love doing them. So, and love giving book recs like we did today. Mine were older, but sometimes it's good to go back. And
it's good to be reminded of those great books. Yeah. Not everything has to be brand new.
I know.
There's a lot of people who never, weren't around back then.
I know, right? Weren't in the know like we are. Anyways, that's it for us this week. We will be back again on Monday. So we're going to take us off of Facebook and off of the recording. So thank you, everybody. And we'll see you all next week again. Have a good week of reading. Bye.